Hey guys, today we are scarifying and aerating this beautiful looking lawn. You might think, why are we doing it? Well, this is why we do it, because it keeps it beautiful. Yes, it's going to rough it up, it's going to look a mess for a little while, but it is going to keep it nice and lush and they get to enjoy it for the rest of the year. So if you can, look to scarify and aerate your lawns once a year and you can keep it in tip-top condition. So today we'll be using the Classen Hand-aerating aerator, my old faithful, touch wood. She's been a good old gal. I've had her a few years now. We've got the Hand-aeratings there. And they will punch a hole in the ground and pull out a core of soil, and that relieves compaction, improves drainage and lets air, rain and nutrients get down to where it needs to be. This is what helps to keep a lawn in a good condition. Then we're following up with my scarifier. This is the Stihl 540 scarifier, RL 540, and it's got a series of blades underneath and they spin round and they basically rake the grass. What they're doing is teasing out any organic, any dead matter that's built up over the year. And if we keep that thatch level down to a minimum, a tiny bit is absolutely fine. It will help the grass to breathe and it will help it to perform and stay greener. Let's crack on.
Leather jacket on in the snow. Always such a cool guy. New life, new clothes, but baby you're the same. I see it from afar. You haven't changed a bit.
So like I say, they go over the lawn like so. You can see the holes quite clearly. It's about every 3 inches on a staggered basis. And this is the profile of the soil. Oops. Let's get another one. So we always look at the soil first. If you give it a squeeze, it's staying in that position. There's a tiny bit of clay in there, so it feels a bit sticky. And I've actually got 1 or 2 stuck under my wellies. Now here is the thatch. This stuff here, this is what we scarify out. But you've also got subsurface thatch, which is just underneath, which is similar to that, but it's built in with all the roots and dead matter. And when we aerate, it pulls this out. It's pulling out some subsurface thatch, so it's thinning that out, and it's relieving compaction, so everything can drain through. And what will happen is those holes will close over the next few weeks, and the grass is now freer draining, so it's not going to be as wet, and it's going to perform better as a result. And there you go.
And you still make the same tired jokes. Thank God that I moved on, but heaven knows how you broke me down. Haven't seen you.
Now there are always some spaces where the machine can't quite get, like little corners and things. So if you want to use one of these handheld aerators, there's plenty around. All I would say is get one with replaceable tines. These are the tines, 1, 2, 3, and with the hole it allows, when we push it into the ground, the soil comes up and is ejected off. So we've got it set up, and there's the blades inside. That will spin round forwards and the blades will pull out the thatch material in the grass once we get going. You have to set the height. What you want to aim for is that the height is only just scratching into the surface of the soil. So you start out on a high setting, the highest setting that your scarifier will do. For me, this is position 1. If we dropped it down to 6, the blades would go lower and dig channels into the grass too deep. This is not engaged, and then when we push this across and down, it engages the blade with the grass. So to start it, we do this and we pull the handle and off it will go, and there'll be a lot of material that comes out. Now your scarifier might have a box on the back. You can use that if you want. It will be cleaner, but you will be forever emptying the box every metre or two. So what I tend to do is just lift the back end a little bit up, and I've used a bit of cable here, a bit of cord from a strimmer, just to slightly lift that open so the thatch can be ejected out. If you lift it too high, if there's any stones, they will fly out and hit you in the shins and potentially smash windows, and it's amazing how far it can go. So let's get this fired up and let's give it a whirl. Okay, so I've started it up. I've got it engaged, not engaged, cross and engaged, and it's lowered down. And now you'll see what comes out. We're on the highest setting, so we can't do any higher than this. That's amazing, isn't it? All of that was choking the grass. By the way, don't do this on really wet, boggy ground. Wait until it's mostly dry, and then you're good to go. Now, it might look quite horrific, but trust me, once it's all cleared up, it won't look half as bad as what it seems. But it is going to do it the world of good. Look at them grooves, look at them channels. Within 6 weeks, they will have filled in, closed up, but the grass is now breathing a lot better because it's had a really good haircut. Right, I'm going to crack on with this.
Yeah, I hope that you think of me.
Now always make sure that you're overlapping the previous strip that you've done. You see my wheel is just slightly over, so it's gone across a bit into where we did it before, because the blades are not level with the wheels, they're in about 1.5 inches. And you saw here, it's quite thick and thatched, there's a lot coming out. So I'm pushing it across with my foot. And that means then that the next time we come back, the machine is going nice and evenly over flat grass, as opposed to going over bumps and humps of thatch. Because if the wheels go over the thatch, the wheels and the machine are going up higher, and then the blades are going up higher, and the blades are not scarifying as well. Okay, engage, see how much comes out. Now we'll push it across. If it's only a little bit, it's fine, but when it's thick, you just want to push it across a little bit. And always be looking at the front of your machine, so you're always on that right line, or you will end up with a part that's not been scarified. You might look at that and think, oh my goodness. But that's perfectly fine. See? The grass is fine. It's been thinned out.
See my face in strangers in the street. Every time you drink.
That's really important. You take your time with this. You don't rush. You don't go as fast as you can pushing the scarifier. Let it do the work nice and easy, because the slower you go, the better the finished quality. Now also, sometimes it doesn't take enough out. Yes, it's scratching into the surface of the soil, which is what we're after. These grooves are what we're trying to create. You see those grooves there? It's opened up the soil profile. So now when it rains and we fertilise or give it water, it's getting in to around the roots. It hasn't got to get down through a thick layer of thatch like a bath sponge, which holds moisture. And that moisture that's being held in that thatch layer encourages disease. And then because of the disease and because the water's not getting And because the water can't get through that thatch very quick, sometimes it evaporates and the roots don't get all of the water. So it begins to suffer. This is why it's important to scarify and aerate on a regular basis.
Tequila, you still picture me there, dancing in the dark. I bet your heart skips a beat.
Would you look at the state of that mess? So it might be quite horrifying if you've never done this before, but this is all going to get cleared off. So I'm just going to clean this machine, and then we've got something else to do before we clear it off. It's better to do it now, because if not, all the mess comes off onto your paths. Just give everything a sweep underneath. Make sure you've turned the power off first. It's not too bad. You can, just a very gentle tap, not too heavy. And that will shake off a lot of the bits from underneath, because nothing worse than clearing off your path afterwards. So fingernails, like so, and push forwards. If I hadn't cleaned those now, there'd be thick lines of mud. And we've only got some light mud, but I'm not going all over the patio with it. It's already getting mucky just from my feet, from walking on top of the muddy cores. If you keep it on two wheels, it's a bit easier. So the next thing is to give little areas where we can't get a rake. Now this is a scarifying rake made by a wolf garten. You have to buy the head and the handle separate. It's a pretty cool system that gives you a 10-year warranty, and you can interchange all the different heads. And this has got the scarifying blade, which pivots. Hard to show you because I've only got one hand, but it pivots, and that will do the same as the scarifier in tighter spaces. So I'll show you that now. Oh yeah, that rocks backwards and forwards, and you just gently pull it backwards and forwards. You don't need to press down, it's nice and light in your hands. And that's just raked out a bit of thatch. That's the same here. So I'll carry on with this, and then we'll start the clearing up.
Something that reminds you of me, baby, when you drink tequila, you still.
So when it comes to clearing up, I like to use a leaf rake, which are these with the plastic heads, which are fixed. You get some where there's a handle, and they're okay, but I prefer this. I've had this one for years, touch wood. And this is a Bulldog brand. Quite happy with Bulldog. I've used them for 20 odd years, and I'm really liking Wolf Garten as well on the scarifier. Basically, you just rake everything up into piles. So you can see I've raked it into a pile there, just that one strip, and you can see the grooves. Now where it's shaded, which is this corner, it's going to look thinner anyway. But if you went to rake up an area that's in the sun, it's going to look a lot greener. And there you can see, so I've just raked that back. So it's up to you. You can use a rake or you can use a blower. Blowers make life a lot easier. You're still getting a good workout. You're walking all day long, so don't be afraid to use a blower if you've got a blower. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to blow them into the middle and then get it cleared up using my leaf grabbers, which are over there. Long-handled leaf grabbers to put it into this bin.
There beside you in the dark. Yeah, I hope it hits you hard It feels good to know you want me back. You took me for granted, now I got the upper hand. The tables have turned, I am not the same girl. I hope that you think of me.
So by using the blower, we get every last bit of rubbish out of the lawn. If you only rake it, you're leaving loads and loads of thatch in and amongst the blades of grass. It's best to get it out. So a blower is actually really handy. Look how much has come out. Yeah. You can see the grass is still green. And this is going to fill in and look lovely in about 5 or 6 weeks. So now we've got to get all of this into that bin. So what I'm going to do is rake into piles, and then I'm going to use these leaf grabbers and just pick them up, put them straight into the bin. Let's crack on.
My face and strangers in the street. Every time you drink tequila, you still picture me there, dancing in the dark. I bet your heart skips a beat when you see something that reminds you of me. Baby, when you drink tequila.
So we're just going to tidy up now, give it a mow. We've got empty box. Totally empty there. We'll just see how much actually comes off and gets sucked up by the mower. Now I'm not aiming to scalp it, but I need to go low enough to pick it up. So I'll probably go over on a number 2, which I don't know what height that is, but as long as it's not scalping it, it will then recover in its own time. So let's get this done, and then we're going to get some fertiliser and weed killer on.
Still picture me there beside you in the dark, but I hope you're feeling so lost without me that you can't sleep at night. No one to call, yeah. Call when
As you can see, we've got about half a box, so it would definitely worth getting this off. So that is the finished article after we've scarified and aerated. Yes, it looks rough, but I assure you this will look as good as it did when we first arrived in about 5 or 6 weeks. It's neat. We put some stripes in, we've picked all the rubbish out with the mower, and the customer cannot be any happier with that. Sometimes when your lawn hasn't got a lot of thatch, there's less comes out and it doesn't look quite as bad, but they all come back in time. So all that's left to do now, after I've tidied these tools away, I'm going to put some fertiliser and weed killer on, and then we're good to go. Now the fertiliser is an autumn fertiliser, and the weed killer I'm mixing in a little bit of seaweed as well, which just helps with recovery, and it's all good for the lawn.
down, but what goes around comes back around. You had to learn the hard way. I hope that you think of me. See my face and strangers in the street. Every time.
So this is an autumn fertiliser. I'll leave a link to A1 autumn fertiliser, which is the one I use on my own lawn. This is just a commercial one through Agravista, which is my supplier. And basically we're in the evergreen spreader. I'm on setting number 3 on the handle, and I just walk and turn the handle and try and make sure we don't get too much on the patio. So I'm going to use the blower just to clear off any that comes onto the patio and the slabs, and then we'll get the weed killer on.
Baby, when you drink tequila, you still picture me there beside you in the dark. Yeah, I hope it hits you hard.